They entered the operating room expecting recovery, not a final curtain. These were Hollywood's most famous actors, surrounded by doctors, technology, and hope, yet they never woke up. In this video, we uncover 15 medical tragedies where routine surgery turned fatal, revealing how fame offered no protection when everything suddenly went wrong. Number 12. Eddie Fisher. On September 22, 2010, Eddie Fisher died after complications related to hip surgery. The procedure was intended to improve mobility and relieve chronic pain that had worsened with age. During recovery, his body struggled to regain stability. Cardiac and respiratory complications developed, placing extreme stress on his system. Despite medical care, the post-surgical decline proved fatal, turning a routine operation into his final chapter. Eddie Fisher was one of the most famous entertainers of the 1950s. Known for his smooth voice and romantic image, he became a pop culture phenomenon through hit songs and frequent television appearances. He also worked in film and variety programs, where his charm translated easily to the screen. Fisher represented a clean-cut American ideal, and his popularity made him one of the best-known performers of his generation. His private life, however, was filled with turbulence and public scrutiny. Born to immigrant parents, Fisher rose from modest beginnings to enormous fame. His marriages, especially those involving Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor, became front-page news and reshaped celebrity culture. The contrast between his wholesome image and personal controversy followed him for decades. These experiences hardened him and deeply affected both his career trajectory and emotional life. In his later years, Fisher faced declining health and increasing physical limitations. Chronic pain reduced his independence, and surgeries became part of maintaining daily life. Family members described him as reflective and quieter than in his youth. The decision to undergo hip surgery was practical rather than dramatic, meant to restore comfort rather than ambition. The sudden downturn after the operation shocked those closest to him, who expected recovery rather than loss. The response to his death highlighted both his cultural impact and human vulnerability. Medical professionals spoke broadly about surgical risks in elderly patients. Fans revisited his music and films, remembering a voice that once dominated American radio. Fellow entertainers acknowledged his role in shaping modern celebrity culture. Eddie Fisher is remembered as a symbol of mid-century fame, personal struggle, and the lasting emotional connection between performer and audience. If you want to continue exploring these untold Hollywood medical tragedies, subscribe for more stories like this. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next episode. Number 11. Jeanette MacDonald. On January 14, 1965, Jeanette MacDonald died after her heart failed shortly before a planned surgical procedure. She had been hospitalized for serious cardiac complications following years of declining health. Doctors prepared for intervention, but her weakened heart could not sustain the stress. The crisis escalated rapidly, and she passed away as medical teams attempted to stabilize her condition. Jeanette MacDonald was one of the defining stars of early Hollywood musical cinema. She rose to fame in the 1930s through lavish musical films, most famously opposite Nelson Eddy. Her soprano voice, elegance, and romantic screen presence made her a symbol of glamour during the Great Depression. Audiences found comfort and escape in her performances. She helped shape the musical genre and became one of the highest-paid and most admired actresses of her era. Her personal life reflected discipline, ambition, and emotional restraint. Born in Philadelphia, MacDonald trained rigorously in music from a young age and pursued classical vocal excellence alongside film work. The pressure to maintain perfection was constant. Despite fame, she lived under strict studio control and intense public scrutiny. These demands shaped her reserved personality and relentless work ethic, leaving little space for rest during the peak years of her career. As she aged, MacDonald's health steadily deteriorated. Chronic heart problems and exhaustion forced her to reduce public appearances. She struggled with recurring illness while attempting to preserve her voice and independence. Hospitalizations became more frequent in her final years. Family members described her as proud yet fragile, aware that her body was failing. The anticipated surgery represented a final hope for stability, but her condition worsened too quickly. The response to her passing reflected the end of an era. Medical professionals noted the limitations of cardiac treatment during the mid-20th century. The film and music industries honored her as a pioneer who brought operatic talent into popular cinema. Fans remembered her voice as timeless and uplifting. Jeanette MacDonald's legacy endures through classic films and recordings that continue to represent Hollywood's golden age of romance and musical artistry. Number 10. Jeff Chandler. On June 17, 1961, Jeff Chandler died from complications following a series of surgical procedures. He had undergone operations to treat a severe blood infection that developed after a minor injury. During recovery, an artery ruptured, leading to massive internal bleeding. Surgeons attempted emergency intervention, but the damage progressed rapidly. The medical crisis escalated beyond control, and the complications proved fatal. Jeff Chandler was a major Hollywood star of the 1950s, known for his commanding voice, physical presence, and intense screen charisma. He gained widespread recognition through films such as Broken Arrow, where he portrayed Native American roles with unusual seriousness for the era. His performance earned critical praise and award nominations. Chandler became a symbol of rugged masculinity and moral complexity, appealing to audiences during a period dominated by westerns and war films. Chandler's life before fame was shaped by ambition and reinvention. Born Ira Grossel, he studied art and music before turning to acting and radio. His deep voice opened doors in broadcasting, leading to film opportunities. Determined to succeed, he reshaped his identity to fit Hollywood expectations. This transformation required constant effort and pressure, reinforcing his intense personality. Friends described him as disciplined, private, and deeply committed to proving himself in a competitive industry. In the years leading up to his death, Chandler's health became increasingly fragile. A routine back injury led to infection, which spread through his bloodstream. Multiple surgeries were required in a short period, leaving his body weakened. Despite pain and exhaustion, he remained determined to recover and return to work. Family members recalled his frustration at being confined to hospitals, as his physical strength and independence steadily declined. News of Chandler's death shocked Hollywood. Medical experts discussed the dangers of post-surgical infection and the limits of treatment at the time. Colleagues remembered him as a serious actor who challenged stereotypes and brought dignity to his roles. Fans mourned the loss of a star whose career was cut short at its height. Jeff Chandler's legacy endures as a reminder of classic Hollywood intensity and the fragile line between recovery and tragedy. Number 9. Heather O'Rourke. On February 1, 1988, Heather O'Rourke died during emergency surgery in San Diego. Doctors attempted to treat a sudden intestinal blockage caused by an undiagnosed congenital condition. As the operation began, her body went into shock from severe infection. Despite rapid intervention, her organs failed under the strain. The surgery, performed in a race against time, could not reverse the damage already done. Heather O'Rourke was one of the most recognizable child stars of the 1980s. She became famous for her role as Carol Ann in the Poltergeist film series, where her innocence and calm delivery created unforgettable moments in horror cinema. Audiences were captivated by her natural presence and emotional clarity. Her performances helped define an era of supernatural storytelling, making her face instantly familiar to millions of moviegoers. Her life behind the scenes was far quieter than her on-screen fame suggested. Born in California, Heather was discovered at a young age and entered Hollywood almost by chance. Despite rapid success, her family worked to keep her childhood as normal as possible. She attended school, spent time with siblings, and avoided the excesses often associated with young stardom. Those who knew her described her as gentle, polite, and deeply trusting. In the months before her death, Heather experienced recurring health issues that were misunderstood. She complained of flu-like symptoms and abdominal discomfort, which were treated conservatively. No one suspected a serious underlying condition. When her pain suddenly worsened, she was rushed to the hospital. The shift from mild illness to life-threatening emergency happened within hours, leaving her family stunned and unprepared. The reaction to her death was widespread and deeply emotional. Medical professionals later emphasized the difficulty of detecting rare congenital disorders. The film industry mourned the loss of a child whose career had barely begun. Fans struggled to reconcile her joyful screen presence with such a sudden tragedy. Heather O'Rourke is remembered as a symbol of lost potential, and her brief life remains one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking medical stories. Number 8. James Avery. On December 31, 2013, James Avery died following complications from open-heart surgery. The procedure was performed to address serious cardiac problems that had worsened over time. Although the surgery itself was completed, his body struggled during recovery. Post-operative complications placed extreme stress on his heart and lungs. Despite intensive medical care, his condition declined, and the surgery meant to stabilize his health ultimately became fatal. James Avery was best known to millions as Uncle Phil on the television series The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. His performance brought authority, warmth, and emotional depth to the role of a strong father figure. Audiences saw him as a symbol of wisdom and protection. Beyond that role, Avery had a long career in film, television, and voice acting, including animation and stage work. His commanding presence made him unforgettable. Before fame, Avery lived a life shaped by discipline and challenge. Raised in New Jersey, he enlisted in the United States Navy after high school and served during the Vietnam War era. Military life influenced his sense of responsibility and structure. After service, he pursued acting with determination, studying theater and working steadily for years. These experiences grounded him and shaped the calm authority he later brought to his most famous roles. In the years leading up to his surgery, Avery faced increasing health concerns. Friends and colleagues noticed changes in his energy and physical comfort. Heart disease became a growing issue, forcing him to slow down professionally. Family members later shared that he approached surgery with quiet resolve rather than fear. The procedure represented hope for stability and more time with loved ones, but recovery proved far more difficult than expected. News of his death prompted an outpouring of grief and respect. Medical professionals spoke about the risks of major heart surgery, particularly for patients with long-term cardiac conditions. Fellow actors from television and film honored him as a mentor and role model. Fans revisited his work, especially his portrayal of Uncle Phil, which continued to resonate emotionally. James Avery is remembered for strength, dignity, and a legacy that still shapes how audiences define fatherhood on screen. Number 7. Joan Rivers. On September 4, 2014, Joan Rivers died after complications from a routine medical procedure involving her throat. The procedure was intended to examine vocal cord issues. During the operation, her breathing was compromised, leading to severe oxygen deprivation. Although she was transferred to intensive care, the resulting brain injury was irreversible. What began as a minor intervention ended in a fatal medical outcome. Joan Rivers was one of the most influential figures in American entertainment. She broke barriers as a female comedian in a male-dominated industry, becoming famous for her fearless humor and rapid-fire delivery. Beyond stand-up, she became a staple of television through talk shows, red carpet commentary, and reality programs. Her sharp wit and unapologetic style made her a cultural force, shaping modern comedy and celebrity commentary for decades. Her personal life was marked by resilience and loss. Born into a Jewish immigrant family in New York, Rivers pursued comedy against strong social resistance. Early success was followed by professional setbacks and public criticism. The most devastating blow came with the death of her husband, which plunged her into deep grief. Instead of retreating, she returned to work with renewed intensity, using humor as both armor and survival. In her final years, Rivers remained remarkably active. She continued touring, filming, and appearing on television well into her 80s. Family members described her as driven and restless, unwilling to slow down despite age-related health concerns. The decision to undergo the procedure was seen as routine and low risk. The sudden medical crisis shocked those closest to her, transforming a busy work schedule into an unexpected vigil. The reaction to her death was immediate and global. Medical experts discussed patient safety and procedural oversight, while the entertainment industry reflected on her trailblazing career. Fellow comedians credited her with opening doors that had long been closed to women. Fans mourned a voice that had shaped humor for generations. Joan Rivers is remembered as a pioneer whose courage and influence permanently changed the landscape of American comedy. Number 6. Tony Randall. On May 17, 2004, Tony Randall died from complications following heart surgery. He had undergone coronary bypass surgery to address serious cardiac issues. Although the procedure itself was considered medically appropriate, his body struggled during recovery. Post-surgical complications developed quickly, leading to respiratory failure and infection. Despite close monitoring, the stress of surgery proved too great, resulting in a sudden and fatal medical decline. Tony Randall was best known as a defining figure of classic American television comedy. He achieved iconic status through The Odd Couple, where his portrayal of the meticulous Felix Unger became one of the most recognizable characters in sitcom history. His precise delivery, theatrical background, and expressive timing made him stand out. Beyond television, he enjoyed a successful film and stage career, earning admiration for bringing sophistication and intelligence to comedy. Randall's life before fame was rooted in discipline and education. Raised in New York City, he studied drama seriously and developed a deep love for theater. He served in the United States Army during the Second World War, an experience that reinforced structure and responsibility. These formative years shaped his professionalism and devotion to craft. Unlike many stars, Randall viewed acting as lifelong study, not celebrity, which influenced his steady and respected career. In his later years, Randall faced increasing health challenges. Heart disease became a growing concern, and age limited his stamina. Despite this, he remained active in theater and public appearances. His decision to undergo heart surgery was motivated by hope for more time with his much younger wife and children. Family members described him as optimistic, but aware of the risks. The surgery marked a turning point from creative vitality to medical uncertainty. The entertainment world reacted with deep respect and reflection. Medical professionals noted the heightened risks of major cardiac surgery in elderly patients. Fellow actors praised Randall's intellect, generosity, and influence on television comedy. Fans revisited his performances, finding comfort in his familiar presence. Tony Randall left behind a legacy of elegance, discipline, and enduring humor that continues to shape American entertainment. What do you think made his performances feel timeless even decades later? Number 5. Rodney Dangerfield. On October 5, 2004, Rodney Dangerfield died following complications from heart valve replacement surgery. The operation was intended to correct long-standing cardiac problems and initially appeared successful. During recovery, his condition deteriorated as his body struggled to adapt after the procedure. Cardiac complications escalated rapidly, and despite intensive medical care, the surgery meant to improve his health ultimately led to his death. Rodney Dangerfield was one of the most recognizable comedy figures in American entertainment. Famous for his self-deprecating humor and the phrase, "I get no respect," he transformed personal insecurity into a cultural phenomenon. His performances in films such as Caddyshack, Easy Money, and Back to School introduced his comedy to new generations. Audiences connected with his honesty, making him an enduring symbol of comedic vulnerability and sharp observational humor. His real life was marked by deep emotional struggles. Born Jacob Cohen, Dangerfield endured a troubled childhood marked by neglect and instability. These early experiences shaped his lifelong battle with self-esteem and depression. Comedy became both an escape and a survival tool. Even after achieving fame, he openly discussed feelings of inadequacy. These internal battles fueled his relentless work ethic and gave his comedy a raw authenticity few performers could match. In his later years, Dangerfield's health declined noticeably. Years of stress, heavy touring, and emotional strain affected his heart. Family members and close friends expressed concern as he underwent repeated medical treatments. The decision to proceed with heart surgery came after years of managing symptoms. Though hopeful for recovery, those closest to him sensed his vulnerability. The period leading to surgery reflected a quiet struggle between resilience and physical limitation. The response to his death was filled with reflection and respect. Medical professionals noted the risks associated with major heart procedures in older patients. Fellow comedians praised his influence on stand-up comedy, crediting him with changing how vulnerability could be used for humor. Fans revisited his routines with renewed appreciation. Rodney Dangerfield is remembered as a pioneer who turned pain into laughter and left a lasting emotional impact on American comedy. Number 4. Joan Ritter. On September 11, 2003, Joan Ritter collapsed while at work and was rushed into emergency surgery after doctors identified an acute aortic dissection. Surgeons attempted to repair the torn artery, but the damage progressed rapidly. Despite immediate intervention in the operating room, his heart could not withstand the trauma. The complication proved fatal, ending his life during a procedure meant to save him. John Ritter was one of the most beloved television actors in American history. He became a household name through the sitcom Three's Company, where his physical comedy and gentle charm made him instantly recognizable. His ability to balance humor with vulnerability set him apart. Ritter later demonstrated dramatic depth in films and television movies, earning critical praise and awards. To audiences, he represented warmth, reliability, and a rare sincerity that crossed generations. Ritter's personal life reflected both privilege and pressure. Born into an entertainment family, he was the son of country music legend Tex Ritter. Growing up around fame shaped his understanding of performance, but also placed expectations on his shoulders. Despite success, he struggled with anxiety and self-doubt. These internal challenges deepened his empathy, influencing the kindness and humility colleagues often described throughout his career. In the years before his death, Ritter appeared healthy and professionally active. He continued acting regularly and spent much of his time with his children and family. The sudden medical crisis came without warning, turning an ordinary workday into a medical emergency. Loved ones later shared their shock at how quickly events unfolded. The abrupt transition from routine life to irreversible loss left a lasting emotional impact on those closest to him. The response to Ritter's death was profound. Medical experts emphasized how difficult aortic dissections are to detect and treat, even with modern care. Fans mourned a figure associated with laughter and comfort. Tributes poured in from actors, studios, and television networks. John Ritter is remembered not only for his talent, but for the joy he brought into millions of homes, leaving a legacy defined by humanity and heart. Number 3. Bill Paxton. On February 25, 2017, Bill Paxton died after suffering a severe stroke following heart surgery. The operation involved repairing an aorta and replacing a valve, a complex procedure that initially appeared successful. In the days that followed, complications emerged without warning. Reduced blood flow to the brain caused catastrophic damage. Despite intensive care, his condition rapidly declined, and the surgery meant to extend his life became the event that ended it. Bill Paxton built a career defined by versatility and quiet charisma. He became widely recognized through films such as Titanic, Twister, and Aliens, where his performances felt grounded and human even in large-scale spectacles. Audiences trusted him because he seemed real. He also earned respect on television with the series Big Love, proving his depth as a dramatic actor. His ability to move between genres made him a familiar and reliable presence in Hollywood. Away from the spotlight, Paxton's life reflected steady determination rather than overnight fame. Raised in Texas, he developed an early interest in filmmaking and worked his way up through small jobs on sets before landing acting roles. His long journey shaped a reputation for humility and professionalism. Unlike many stars, he avoided scandal and focused on craft. This grounded personality influenced the sincerity audiences felt whenever he appeared on screen. In the years leading up to his final surgery, Paxton became more private about his health. Family members later described growing concern as heart issues worsened. The decision to undergo surgery was driven by hope for more time with loved ones and continued work. Friends noted his optimism before the procedure. The sudden turn from recovery to crisis left his family unprepared, transforming a routine medical plan into a deeply personal loss. The reaction to his death was immediate and emotional. Medical professionals highlighted the inherent risks of advanced heart surgery, even for patients receiving expert care. Fellow actors, directors, and studios released statements honoring his kindness and dedication. Fans revisited his films and television work, celebrating a career built on authenticity. Bill Paxton is remembered as an actor who made every role feel genuine and whose legacy remains deeply respected. Number 2. Steve McQueen. On November 7, 1980, Steve McQueen passed away only hours after undergoing surgery in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. The operation aimed to remove cancerous tissue related to mesothelioma, a disease linked to asbestos exposure. During recovery, his heart failed unexpectedly. Medical staff attempted resuscitation, but complications from the surgery, combined with his weakened condition, led to a sudden and irreversible outcome. Steve McQueen was one of the most powerful movie stars of the 1960s and 1970s. Known as the King of Cool, he defined a new kind of Hollywood masculinity through films like Bullitt, The Great Escape, and Papillon. His quiet intensity, rebellious presence, and minimal dialogue created an image that audiences found magnetic. He became a cultural icon, influencing fashion, film style, and the idea of the anti-hero for decades. McQueen's real life was far from glamorous. Raised in an unstable home, he endured poverty, abuse, and time in reform school during childhood. These early hardships shaped his tough exterior and distrust of authority. Before fame, he served in the United States Marine Corps, an experience that disciplined him but also reinforced his independence. These formative years fueled both his ambition and his inner restlessness throughout his career. As his fame grew, so did his physical and emotional strain. Years of demanding roles, racing accidents, and lifestyle excess took a toll on his health. In the late 1970s, he was diagnosed with cancer. Rejecting conventional treatment, McQueen pursued alternative therapies across the world. His final decision to undergo surgery in Mexico reflected both hope and desperation, as his family watched him confront mortality away from Hollywood. The news of his death shocked fans and the film industry. Doctors and medical experts debated the risks of experimental treatment and late-stage surgical intervention. Fellow actors praised his authenticity and fearlessness on screen. Audiences remembered him as a symbol of raw individuality. Steve McQueen's legacy endures as a reminder that even the most fearless stars remain vulnerable. Share your thoughts on how his choices still shape his legend. Number 1. Lucille Ball. On April 22, 1989, Lucille Ball died from a ruptured abdominal aorta just days after undergoing emergency heart surgery. The procedure was meant to repair a damaged aorta and stabilize her condition. Initially, doctors reported cautious optimism. However, sudden internal bleeding overwhelmed her body. Despite immediate medical intervention, the complication proved fatal, turning a life-saving operation into a tragic and irreversible medical outcome. Lucille Ball was one of the most influential figures in American television history. She rose to legendary status through the sitcom I Love Lucy, where her physical comedy, timing, and fearless self-parody redefined what a television actress could be. The show dominated ratings and reshaped the sitcom format forever. She became a symbol of humor, resilience, and creative control, inspiring generations of performers and proving women could lead, produce, and dominate mainstream entertainment. Behind the laughter, Lucille Ball lived a demanding and often difficult life. Raised in poverty after losing her father at a young age, she learned early how to survive rejection and instability. Before success, she endured years of failed auditions and minor film roles. Her determination hardened her work ethic and sharpened her ambition. These struggles shaped her relentless drive and her willingness to take risks others avoided in a male-dominated industry. In her later years, Ball faced growing health challenges. Decades of smoking contributed to heart problems, and aging placed new limits on her famously physical style. By the late 1980s, her health declined rapidly. Family members noted her fatigue and concern about her heart. The emergency surgery was sudden and frightening, marking a painful shift from public icon to vulnerable patient, surrounded not by cameras but by anxious loved ones. News of her death stunned Hollywood and the public. Medical professionals discussed the risks of complex heart surgery in elderly patients, while fans mourned the loss of a figure who had shaped their childhoods. Tributes poured in from studios, comedians, and broadcasters worldwide. Lucille Ball was remembered not for how she died, but for how she changed entertainment forever. Her legacy remains a lasting reminder of courage, innovation, and emotional connection.